Hello, welcome. All right, today we're talking about sleep. Sleep for weight loss, muscle gain, literally anything fitness related is super important. So we're going to talk about sleep, why it's important. We'll rip through that because it doesn't take too long. It's pretty easy to explain. And then I'm going to talk about some strategies on how to improve your sleep because um, it's one of the harder things to change. There's issues falling asleep, issues staying asleep, issues just getting a quality sleep, even if you can fall asleep quickly and stay asleep. Um, Lots of different things that can happen with sleep. And so we're going to go through a variety of different ways that you can strategically and like starting today implement for your sleep. So that's the topic. I'm excited about it. Everybody loves sleep. I love sleep, and I like talking about sleep. So we'll start off with wins. My win for today. Um, what's my win going to be today? Today, I actually had a really enjoyable workout in the morning with Case. Not that my workouts aren't enjoyable, but today was a little extra enjoyable. I just had a little bit more fun with it. Um, I'm in the midst of kind of rejigging my training plan because I've been doing the same one for about 6 or 7 months. So I'm starting to kind of change up the movement patterns a little bit and just keep things fresh. So today was played around with a few different movements to see what I wanted to include. So that was fun. If you have your wins, drop them in the chat, drop them in the WhatsApp group. Um, yeah, let's talk about sleep. So, sleep is where literally everything that we want to happen happens. During the day, our bodies are so busy with just managing the energy needs of day to day life. You know, we got hand gestures, we got thinking to do, we got walking and talking and workouts to do. We got all this stuff that our bodies are constantly in motion and movement. Um, and our resources are going to make sure that we're able to do that. So the recovery portion and all of the physical changes that need to happen, those generally happen while you sleep because that's your body's chance where nothing else is going on. You're in like a comatose state. There's no energy demands on your body. Your whole nervous system starts to slow down. So, your circulatory system, your organs, everything, your digestive system, they all require a lot less attention. There's no crazy changing of environment, so your body doesn't have to work on regulating temperature or um, anything like that. There's no, it doesn't have to recover from like immediately. Doesn't have to recover from like a set where you need to like boost up energy into that muscle again, or doesn't need to be focused on digesting your food. All of that stuff, right? So sleep is our opportunity and our chance to really maximize the work that we're putting in. If our sleep is too short, we're not giving our bodies enough opportunity to do the work that it needs to do so that we can see the results that we really want to see. Um, so yeah, we're going to go through this a little bit more. I'm going to break it up into sections. So first thing, again, like I'm talking results. When we're in that comatose state, that's when our body focuses on rebuilding the muscle tissue that was damaged during workouts. That's when it restores energy balances and it can really focus on, okay, we used up we have energy stores that are in different places. So don't get too caught up on the terminology, but I have to say it, otherwise it doesn't make sense in my brain. So um, during the night, that's when your body can replenish its glycogen stores, and it can do that by pulling fat and turning it into usable energy, and then it can fill up the glycogen stores again, and thus we have weight loss, and it takes effect mostly while we sleep. The weight doesn't actually start to come off as much while you're alive and moving and doing your workout. It's while you're recovering. Same for the workouts. You're not really building muscle during the day. There's not a whole lot. There's muscle protein synthesis that happens and whatnot, but the vast majority of it happens while you're sleeping, and your body can um, think of it like a highway. If there's road construction on a major highway, they do that between the hours of like midnight and 5 a.m. because there's so much less going on, they can get so much more done. Our bodies are the same way. When we're sleeping, there's so much less going on that our bodies can get so much more done. If we cut that time too short, or if that's not quality time and there's disruptions and whatnot happening, it just decreases the efficiency of the body to be able to do that and get that job done. So super important that we get enough sleep for our recovery and for our progress, but it also impacts us on other levels. So we have our hunger hormones, which are leptin and ghrelin. Ghrelin is the one that tells you you're hungry. You can remember that because it's kind of like a gremlin. And leptin is the hormone that tells us that we're full. Now, when we're underslept and when we don't have enough sleep, and I believe the benchmark is 6 hours or less, our hunger signaling is kind of thrown off and ghrelin increases, meaning we feel hungry more often, which means we're less likely to adhere to our nutrition plan because that cascades into when you're hungry, you want food now often and you don't make the best choices. When you're really tired, you don't want to put the effort in to make the food that you need. So then you choose less, healthy options and you're more prone to grabbing something quick. When our hunger is higher, there's an increased chance that we're going to go over on our calories because nobody wants to feel hungry all day long, and absolutely nobody wants to go to bed hungry. That's the worst. So being under like having too little sleep can impact us on that side of things as well, where now we're less able to, or that the barriers to being super consistent and following all the protocols becomes much bigger. It becomes a lot harder, and like literally just because of sleep. And then the third thing that happens that impacts our progress, but like greatly impacts our lives, is our emotional regulation really decreases. So the ability to handle stress or difficult events or anything like that becomes a lot less. We're not as capable. I'm sure everybody can understand that feeling where you're really tired and your irritability is just like so much higher. Like what would normally not cause you any irritability, you're like, stop, just stop. Like it's our emotional regulation isn't as good. And so that impacts us as well because so much of what we do is not emotional work, but our emotions impact what we do. If you're really tired and you need to go to the gym, but you just are like, you're super tired and your emotional regulation is low, it's a lot harder to overcome that barrier and go, you know what, I'm going to go and do it anyways. When you have like a good sleep and you're faced with that, I don't want to go to the gym, it's so much easier to be like, no, I'm going to go anyways because XYZ. I want the result. I want to do this. I know I need to build this habit, whatever it is. It also, like, just with food stuff, our society is wired to use food as reward or coping or comfort. So when we're really tired and emotional regulation isn't very good, then we're more likely to reach for chocolate and cookies and comfort food because, everything that I just said, but our ability to say no and to manage those emotions and the behaviors that come from it decreases, but the temptation for all of those comfort foods and the things that are more likely to take us over our calories increases. Plus, we have that added increase in ghrelin that's making us more hungry. So we really create a circumstance within our own bodies and our minds that adds to the challenge of progressing in our weight loss journey, right? So those are the main ways that sleep will either help you or hinder you, right? So just to recap, we've got the recovery side of things, the actual tactical part of like your body healing itself and accessing fat stores to turn it into energy, all of that. Then we have the side of our energy being low, our ghrelin being higher, the hunger hormone being higher, so our hunger levels are increasing. And then we have the emotional regulation side where we're just not able to cope as well as we normally would which can lead to all kinds of problems. So super important. Hopefully that makes sense as to why this is such a big deal. Um, and now the fun stuff. So how do you fix your sleep? If you're not getting enough sleep, how do you fix your sleep? Well, I can tell you for sure there is enough time in the day. That's going to be a common one. People will say, I don't have enough time to sleep. I promise you that you do. One, because poor sleep is also, you can look this up, poor sleep is really significantly or directly linked to poor health outcomes later in life. So if you don't have time to sleep now, then you're going to get less sleeps later on in life because you're just going to die earlier. So it's important. And we know that there's time. The other reason why I was going to say this, if you actually take a notebook and do this for, I encourage you to do this for like 2-3 days. It doesn't have to be in a row, but 2-3 days of the week or over the span of a couple weeks. Literally write down everything you do in 15-minute intervals. It only takes 2 seconds to put like, 3:15, 3:15 to 3:30 at my job working. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to write it every 15 minutes. If you're at the job working for, you don't take a lunch break until 1 o'clock, then, you just put 10 a.m. to 1 o'clock, busy working. 1 p.m. to 1:15, sat down for lunch. 1:15 to 1:30, scrolled social media. 1:30 went back to work, whatever. Where it gets really important is after work and when you're actually doing normal life, and you can see all of those little time slots where you're like 7:15 to 7:30 scrolled social media, 7:30 to 8:30 watched Netflix and scrolled social media, 8:30 to 9 got up, had a snack, 9 o'clock started to get ready for bed, 9:15 probably scrolled social media a little bit more, and then 9:30 went to bed. If you do a time journal like that, you're going to find all sorts of time in your day that you could like maximize or even eliminate so that you can get to bed earlier. I'll tell you for sure, Netflix is wonderful. Watching TV is a great way to wind down, but it's not a necessary thing to wind down. And what's better than having an hour of time to just shut your brain off is an hour to shut your brain off and just like not be alive and sleep. Get that extra sleep so when you wake up the next day, you feel awesome. And the cascading effect of that is that you don't need to sit down and unwind as long or as frequently because you're more well rested and able to keep and more capable to manage the stresses and the demands of the day. So it's a net positive on both sides where the more sleep you get, the less you really need to actually have that time to sit down and wind down. This is still important. So you don't have to eliminate it completely. We're not crazy here. That's one thing. Time management is a huge thing. The other thing I want to say about that is if there's 24 hours in a day, we'll fill it. If there's 28 hours in a day, we'll fill it. If there's 32 hours in a day, we're going to fill it. We will always fill our time. It's just the pattern that we have, especially in North America. If there's free time, we're finding something to do in that time. So that means what we can do is take a hard look at what our priorities are and see where we can reallocate things or even just eliminate things so that we can prioritize sleep instead of prioritizing something else that doesn't necessarily need to be there or doesn't help us, doesn't make our lives better. It's just something that we do, right? Anyways, I'm going to stop talking about this because I can go on and on and on about time management forever. It used to be the biggest weak point for me ever. It's still something that I have to work on a daily basis, but it's something that I have greatly improved through some of these, practices like time logging my day and stuff. Falling asleep, that's one of the harder things. A lot of people struggle with falling asleep, and the root cause of that generally, like I would say, of every client that I've helped overcome this issue, it's a stress or anxiety related type thing, and not in the sense always that you're like panicking in your mind. It's just those thoughts, those racing thoughts. You all day long we're doing things, and when we lay in bed, there's nothing to do but think about everything that happened through the day, or all the things that we have to do tomorrow, or blah 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 XYZ. Everything starts to like people have a really difficult time slowing their thoughts down and preparing for sleep, and so that it's a stress and anxiety related issue. So some of my favorite strategies for this are some people might think it's a little woo, but meditation. Meditation is absolutely fantastic. It's really hard to be good at meditating, but you don't have to be good at meditating. You put a 10-minute meditation on and you fall asleep, you have accomplished your job. So you don't need to be awake and meditate the whole time and find perfect Zen. You just need to be able to lay down, invest in that meditation, and just keep bringing yourself back into it. Your thoughts will start to wander. Bring yourself back. Listen to the prompts. Listen to the music, and bring yourself back into that meditative state as many times as you can, and it will slow your mind down. You can do it multiple times. The other thing that really helps is if you're somebody that's like either you can't fall asleep because you're thinking about everything that needs to be done, or you wake up in the night and can't fall back asleep because you're thinking about what needs to be done. Keep a notebook beside your bed and write everything down. If you have a list, you don't need to think about it anymore. If you're thinking, oh, I got to do this tomorrow, write it down on a piece of paper. Doesn't have to enter your mind anymore. It's written down. You're going to see it in the morning. You won't forget. It's super effective. Totally, I understand it's a pain in the ass. You wake up at 4 in the morning to grab a pen and write it on a piece of paper, but it's definitely not as much of a pain in the ass as laying in bed, not being able to fall back asleep, knowing the alarm's going to go off in an hour and a half. So definitely something to discipline yourself to do if that's part of your struggle. And then the last thing with falling asleep is creating a bedtime routine. Like it's uncommon for us to be able to go from doing everything that we do all day long and then lying down in bed and going to sleep. We need to prepare ourselves. So a bedtime routine can be anything. It can be. It doesn't have to be something you do every single night for the rest of your life. It's going to change because what you do now for your bedtime routine might not work for one. You might have to experiment with different things for your routine, but it might not work forever either. Like life is dynamic, our needs and our stresses and our struggles change over time, and so our way of managing those need to change with it. But I will say around bedtime routines to pick one that feels good and stick to it for at least a month, because sleep stuff it's not going to change overnight. This stuff takes practice. Learning how to slow your mind before you go to sleep is not something that you're going to like throw on a meditation, you solve your problem. It's going to take practice. It's a skill to develop to be able to like this is the art of meditation, is being able to slow your mind and control your thoughts. That's what we're practicing, and that's what we're trying to do with all of these bedtime routines, is try to control our thoughts and slow them down so that we can have a quiet mind to be able to prepare ourselves for sleep. So a bedtime routine can be anything. Distract yourself from stress. So no TV. Like blue light, we know does not help sleep. Stressful shows or murder documentaries or thriller books, anything that's like exciting and captivating is not going to slow your mind for sleep. So it needs to be things that are relatively boring. Read a book that's not like an action novel. Like read a book you read a self-help book. Those will put you to sleep. You can read I don't know. There's a million different things you can read. You can listen to podcasts that are like, you don't want to listen to just nonsense, but it can be enjoyable. But as long as it's not like, what are those? I don't know what they're called. The like murder podcasts or something. Like listen to a podcast that's uplifting, not something that's going to increase your stress or excite you or anything. It's just something that's enjoyable to listen to, like a story or something like that. Audiobooks, same thing. You can do things like If you have a spouse, you can do partner stretching. So cool thing that I learned from an RMT instructor when I was in school. Him and his wife did this every night, and they would just go back and forth. So Tuesday, they just passive stretching. So whatever feels tight. If it was like, if it was his upper back or something, then his wife would help him stretch out. So he would lay there and she'd kind of like pull his arm over and hold him in a stretch. And it was just a chance for them to wind down from the day, spend some time together, connect, and then also take care of their bodies. So that's a cool thing you could try. A hot bath or a hot shower, um, dimming the lights, going for a walk, anything like that can help. Right. So those are bedtime routines. That stuff can help you change your nightly habits so that you can get to sleep more quickly. If you're having a hard time staying asleep, there's those things. All of those things. If it's stress related, all of those things can help. If it's not stress related, then there's other things that you want to look into. So the temperature of your room. The best night's sleep, and this is backed by research as well, is to have a room that is like 2 degrees below body temperature. So that's around is Fahrenheit or Celsius? I think it would be Celsius. 19 degrees Fahrenheit. I think that would be, I want to say like 68 degrees, something like that. I don't have my phone. Anyways, someone can correct me on that. But whatever body temperature is, a little bit less than that, produces the best sleep at night. A super dark environment, if you have light in your room, or you're by a street or something and you can see car lights or anything, get some blackout blinds. They're not that expensive on Amazon, and keep your room as dark as you possibly can. Sound. Sound is another one. If you're by a roadway or a train or something like that and it wakes you up, get a white noise machine. Having consistent noise like a fan, that can help drown out other noise and it helps with sleep. If you have noise that's intermittent, that's what wakes you up, because it's a pattern interrupt to your thoughts or your mind or your sleep, that disrupts you. So you can drown out noise with like a fan, consistent noise, or you can block noise out by wearing earplugs. What else do we got for sleep? Water. Make sure you try and get your water in before like 7 p.m. so that you can be in bed. You can be in bed and not wake up in the night peeing or having to go pee. I hope you don't wake up in the night peeing, actively peeing. That would suck. Let me think. What else we got for staying asleep? Your bed. This is a tough one because it's not just super easy to go out and buy a new bed. But if your bed sucks, like find some ways you could get like a pillow top on Amazon to put on there. You might need to just go and get a new mattress. Create like an environment that's like, get better sheets if your sheets are uncomfortable, or if your blanket's too hot, find a lighter blanket. Like all of these little things matter. There's those. And then if you're just not getting like a quality sleep at night, this one gets a little bit more challenging, but you can try taking melatonin before bed, just like 5 milligrams. I do highly recommend doing this on a day where you don't have anything the next day if you've never taken melatonin before. Some people are more sensitive to it than others. And so if you're someone who's sensitive to it, like my older sister, she'll take it at night and 12 hours later she wakes up and she's super groggy. Like it's a hard morning for her to function. So it's not really all that common, I'll be honest about that, but I would just hate to give you that advice to try melatonin and you're like, dude, I had to call in sick to work because I couldn't even like collect my thoughts to get ready in the morning. So if you're trying it first time, do it on a day where you have nothing to do the next day, or where you can get a little extra sleep if you need to. Melatonin is our natural sleep hormone. So just like I was talking about leptin and ghrelin being our hunger hormones, we have melatonin and cortisol are our sleep and wake hormones. Melatonin prepares our body and puts us to sleep. It shuts cortisol off. So if you have a high stress lifestyle and you're not getting quality sleep through the night, there's a good chance that potentially your cortisol levels are just a little bit too elevated. having melatonin exogenously, so like taking it instead of just relying on what your body produces, can get you over that hump and help you sleep better. Yeah, I think that's where we'll wrap it up. I can keep going on this stuff, but we've got a ton of information and we're already at 25 minutes. If you're struggling with sleep, message Case or I, whoever's your coach, message us, because we can help like with more specific strategies that are going to work for you. I've given a lot of the stuff that I talked about today will be included in whatever your specific plan is, but these sleep issues, like sleep is not a straightforward thing. Improving sleep is challenging. It takes time and consistency, just like weight loss. You got to stick at things for a good while and practice them and get better at them before you really truly see the effect, except for melatonin. You can see that overnight. So yeah, let us know. We'll help you kind of customize your whatever your sleep protocols, we'll call it. And yeah, let us know if that's a struggle for you. We'll help you out. If you're watching on replay, #replay, drop your win, your biggest takeaway. And I hope everybody has a wonderful Tuesday night. We will see you on Casey's Live on Thursday. See ya.